We are Gathering of the Geeks, podcast and YouTube show built around things we as geeks all love. Hashtag we gather on Sundays. Thanks for checking out episode 5, the one where we choose our fates. Dun dun dun. I am one of your hosts, Emmet, and I'm joined by the Ted Lasso to my coach beard, Chris Evans. Chris, how are you doing today, my sir?
I'm doing pretty good. How about you?
Good. I want to continue our conversation before we get into too much else, but we were just talking before we started, guys. We were talking about the Todd McFarlane Batman stuff. Chris, I want you to let's do a little bit of showing. Chris got the
okay. I get to do show and tell.
Yeah, show and tell. Show and tell me what you were or show and tell the people in the chats and on the video here before we get into too much else.
So I don't know if it shows, but this ear is bent and it's really irritating me because I don't know how to fix it and it's like leaning to the side. By the way, sorry for the audio people, but this is just what's going to happen sometimes. But the ear is leaning and it's just bugging me. And like McFarlane's figures are really nice to look at most of the time, but the quality control issues are just getting kind of ridiculous.
Well, and yeah, I asked you like, you know, what's the you know the big holdup with the McFarlane toys we've seen online recently with some friends of ours. I think Carlos has been having some issues, and I know Nico is having some issues. You know, what do you think the big holdup is with all these McFarlane toys and the big hubbub for it online?
I really don't think McFarlane was ready for the DC license. I think that it was a lot at once, and he's still trying to cope with it or something. Because some of these issues should just not be happening. You know, like with the particular patents and Bat figure, some figures come on the wrong body, where it'll be the unmasked version, and with that you get like a hoodie in the back of his head instead of like the collar for the cowl. Sometimes a torso is upside down, which causes I don't know if it's just a visual issue or maybe it's a movement thing. I don't know. Before I bought this guy, I actually had to look on Reddit to make sure he is the correct one. But
are you buying all of this stuff online? You can't. There's no in-store shopping for the stuff.
No,
right?
No. I found this in store. I actually had it pre-ordered online and I gave up. I usually pre-order from Big Bad Toy Store, but their shipping is not been the best. I don't know if that's McFarlane's fault or it's theirs, but I'm just going to stick with them for like Mafex and stuff like that. But McFarlane's, I'll just try to track down in a store.
Yeah, McFarlane seems like, it's so popular as well. It's just such a bummer that, they're getting so many quality issues with all of it.
Yeah, it's weird. And like Krabs is in the comments saying they're making too many Batman figures. If there were less Batman and more other DC figures, there'd be less bent bat ears. He is correct. and this might just be mine. I might have messed it up. I took him out of the packaging because he was difficult to get out. That's another thing. Sometimes the packaging is like it's like Fort Knox to get them out, which I don't get. But that's my toy rant for the day.
Yeah, I was gonna say I just wanted to give you a little bit of a soapbox for your
and I have my Batman
t-shirt. He's got your Batman t-shirt on there.
I'm ready to go.
So aside from that, guys, thanks so much for dropping into the comments early already. Eric, Grabs, Cookie, Lauren, Juan, thanks so much, guys, for hopping in nice and early for us. And keep the chats going. If you have any questions, make sure you guys let us know. And we're going to jump right into what we got into this week. And you guys, again, if you want to let us know what you read, what you watched, what you consumed this week, let us know in the comments, and we'll talk a little bit about it. So, Chris, what'd you get up to this week?
I actually read a lot.
Good.
Yeah, I read a lot of X-Men. So I know I mentioned last week that X Lives of Wolverine. I read the new issue. That was pretty cool. Then I read this fun issue of X-Men Legends. It had Sinister on the cover, so I was kind of in just because of that. And I believe Lauren showed it to me first, and I just got around to reading it. But it was fun because it takes place in a lab, like a VR laboratory of some sort. And Sinister is having a dinner that lasts 3 hours with himself, Beast, Charles Xavier, Moira McTaggart, Magneto. And I forgot who the other one was. It was a member of the Hellfire Club. And so the 3 hours is supposed to be like a dinner discussion where everybody's friendly, and it's not a Krakoa thing. It's different. X-Men Legends is not in continuity, technically.
No, it's like from the 90s or whatever, right?
Yeah, it bounces around the old timeline. So anyway, so it's supposed to be a 3-hour dinner where they discuss how mutant kind can like progress in the future. And at the end of 3 hours, the twist is, I'm going to spoil this book because I know nobody else is reading it anyway. But at the end of the 3 hours, everybody like melts and turns into dust because they were clones.
Oh.
Yeah, he set up this group of clones that he could just like play with. It was awesome.
Weird.
It was weird, but it was fun. So
Yeah, that sounds weird, and I think that's the weird of X-Men, and maybe the right kind of weird, like you said.
it is, and also that's like Sinister stuff, experiments and things like that. Just good old Nathaniel doing what he does.
Yeah.
I read that. I read the Williamson Batman issue this week. That was good. It's funny because I think I was just so ready to get finished with what was before. I wanted something new, and now I am kind of like, well, this is good, but it's not mind blowing, so I'm not going to complain.
I'm exactly the same way. Well, I'm mostly the same way about Williamson's Batman. I felt the same way that I was ready for Tynion to be gone, and I was excited for something different. And I don't know how much different we're actually getting. Like, we're getting a pretty straightforward Batman series, but there's a whole bunch of different characters in it. One of the big complaints with the Tynion run was that Batman was almost like a secondary character. I don't know if that's changed too much, considering the amount of characters that are in Williamson's run.
Oh, I think it has.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, to me, it feels much more Batman centric, despite all the characters, which it's a nice pivot. It's just, I guess, because he's not in Gotham, it's just different. But I like it.
Yeah, it feels different for sure, and nothing's really blowing me away. I think I kind of said that too. And it doesn't have to either. Nothing has to be either the best thing in the world or the worst thing in the world. It can just be, and it doesn't have to, try and reinvent the wheel, which is what Tynion was seemingly trying to do every single issue. Was trying to change everything all at once. It's interesting, the Lex Luthor angle that's kind of playing into this. He's not very prominent in the Superman books right now. Action Comics, Superman's off-world, and John's got his own stuff going on with Harry Bennix and the whole I can't remember, it'll come to me later, the whole deal that he's going on with his friend John, or his friend I can't remember his friend's name either right now, but John and his friend. Yeah, John and his friend, they're not really dealing with a Lex Luthor thing going on right now. So it's interesting that Lex has kind of made his way over to a Batman title.
And, just the idea of Bruce Wayne and Lex Luthor, like, you would think that would be a cool pairing anyway, just because they're both billionaires, or two sides of the coin. One is, a good guy. One is whatever Lex is. But I like Batman. And then I read some indie stuff, too. I read a book called Dark Red, I believe, by Tim Seeley. It's a vampire book. That was fun. I like that. It's about for those who don't know, it's about a vampire who visits hell to find one of his friends. And chaos kind of ensues. It was interesting. I think I like Tim Seeley's work, though. Have you ever read anything by Tim Seeley?
Yeah, I was making sure. I've got a book, Revival, from Image Comics. It's about a town where you can't die. You come back to life whenever you die. It was a pretty long-running series. I only have the first volume. But yeah, I'm a pretty big fan of Tim Seeley. I think he also wrote the New 52 Nightwing run.
I believe he did. He did something with DC. Right. He wrote a big character. I don't remember who, though.
I think it's Nightwing, the New 52 run, which I was a big fan of when I was getting really back into comics when New 52 was coming out. Tim Seeley, kind of an underrated, kind of a step below all the big name guys, but heck of a writer for sure.
Oh yeah, he's done a lot of stuff like Hack Slash. I don't know if anybody's read that, but that's a pretty fun book. It's just like monsters fighting each other. It's a good time.
Yeah, well, how can you go wrong? It's a cool title too, Hack Slash.
Yeah, you can, and the designs are I guess designs are okay.
Why?
They lean more into that that kind of sexy side of things, where I think becomes a little much sometimes. Like we've talked about Vampirella and how I picked up the book, which I still haven't read. And I feel
I'm waiting for you to read it.
I will eventually. I gotta get through the stack. I'll get to it.
Yeah, too much sexy in some comics just equals porn in some cases. So,
but I think that's about all the big stuff that I read. Dark Red, I think, might have been my book of the week. I really like that one. And I didn't know it's like a sequel.
I've seen covers for it. Yeah, I've seen covers for it. The covers look pretty slick on some of those ones. You got to put up that comment from Lauren too. Lauren,
Yeah, see that one. Yeah, I didn't know that when I bought it. I just saw Vampirella and Dracula. I was like, oh, okay, I'm in for this.
Yeah,
But maybe that is the case.
yeah, that's funny. What about? Did you watch anything this week? I know I watched Reacher, and we kind of talked about it briefly in one of our chats that you were going to get to it this weekend.
Yeah, I did. I watched. Well, I only watched the first 2 episodes, but I do like Reacher. I watched that. I actually finished the second episode about 20 minutes ago.
Nice. Yeah, you liking that series?
I am. It's very. It reminds me a lot of Justified.
Yeah.
It's kind of like Justified with Alan Ritchson. So I'm enjoying that.
Yeah, I've been having a good time. I just finished the second to last episode, I think, just before we started here. So I've got one episode left. I'm having a ton of fun with it. And I think that's kind of the word to use is, if you don't take it too seriously. It's about a big guy, big, huge, muscular guy just beating the shit out of people most of the time.
Yeah.
But Alan Ritchson is incredibly charming, charismatic, and, hell of a good looking guy. I think he plays the part perfectly. If you've read any of the, the Jack Reacher stuff from Lee Childs, or if you've seen the Tom Cruise movie or movies, which was kind of funny. I didn't even realize they made a sequel to the first one. That flew over my head for the longest time until this week when I was researching Jack Reacher a little bit. But yeah, I'm having a great time with it. The music's really good. The action's really good. I like the mature nature of it. They're not hiding the violence. They're not hiding any nudity, anything like that. It's kind of flown under the radar. Amazon dropped the whole series at once, which is something they usually don't do. I think they usually do a couple episodes at a time.
I think so.
They do. Yeah, they do that for The Boys, and I can't remember some of their other stuff. Invincible was week to week, so it's kind of interesting that they dropped this one all at once. I think it's a great idea for a TV show as well. It's playing out the mystery and all that kind of stuff's playing out pretty good over the 8 or 9 or 10 episodes. So yeah, I'm having a great time with Reacher because I've been looking for something to watch too, more binge. I hate waiting for shows now.
Really?
Yeah, like I'm waiting to watch 1883, the latest episode. I think it's episode 7's on tonight. I've hated waiting all week for it. I just want to watch the show because it's so friggin' good. I just want to get to it right away. I just want to watch it so bad. So, I've talked about the, which model is the right way to do it, whether it's the binge model or the weekly model. But, I'm getting more around to the binge model just because I hate waiting for the content to come back every week.
I don't know. I kind of like it because it gives me something to look forward to watch, I guess. So it doesn't bother me, but I also could see both sides of that because I remember for Game of Thrones, I binge watched, I think, 6 seasons in about a month, which was a disgusting thing. But after that, I had to wait, I think it was like 4 months for the next season, or maybe it was longer, and that was not fun. And then waiting for it weekly after that was not fun. But if it's like a series that just starts and I'm watching it for the first time,
right?
Cool. So I guess that's my thing. If I binge it first and then start, I get annoyed. If I'm watching it as it happens, cool.
Yeah, I think one of the things I've just been kind of looking for something to watch. I try I guess I don't mind the waiting for new stuff like you said. It's just that stuff in between. I'm sitting around on a Wednesday evening looking for something to watch, and there's nothing to watch. Like Grab said, he's watching Lost. I did that. And that placated the time in between the new stuff, in between Boba Fett and Peacemaker, all that kind of stuff. So I think I need to find one of those shows, something to watch. I tried watching Superstore. You know what that is, Superstore?
I've heard that's great.
I've seen 2 episodes so far. I'm not going back.
Fair.
It hurts my soul to watch that show. It just hurt how bad it was. So if anybody's got any recommendations for binge-worthy shows to watch in between new episodes of things, hit me up in the comments and let me know.
You could definitely watch. Oh, sorry.
Yeah, what's that? Vampire in Brooklyn with Eddie Murphy?
You could definitely watch Vampire in Brooklyn. It's a weird combination, but it's a lot of fun.
Yeah,
and the effects are cool because it's I think it was like 93-ish. I think I could be wrong on that, but it's Eddie Murphy as a vampire, and it's hilarious and it's kind of scary. It's pretty intense for what it is. I really like Vampire in Brooklyn. Lauren also mentioned, never knew I needed to see a vampire who turned into a wolf, but here I am. You might want to also check out Bram Stoker's Dracula, the Francis Ford Coppola movie. I don't love the movie. I know a lot of people do.
That hurts me every time you say
I know. I'm sorry,
it.
but it just Keanu and some other
Yep.
decisions.
Yep.
Not my favorite, but it's not a bad movie. I enjoy it. But yeah, check out that too. That would be my recommendation on that.
What's
It's,
the vampire movie with Leslie Nielsen? Dead and Loving It. You like
that is
that?
like one of my favorite movies ever.
No, it would be.
Dracula Dead and Loving It is amazing. And anybody who says differently has no soul. I'm sorry. I'm just saying.
Leslie Nielsen. It just makes me laugh every time I think about him.
Yeah,
I've seen the first couple seasons of the 100 Grabs, and I think I dropped it after a while. Can't remember what season I dropped it after. Something about when they went to a city and there was a tall tower. I can't remember now. I think Juan suggested Dark.
Yes.
On Netflix. I will see what that's about. Yeah, thanks guys. Thanks for the recommendations.
Also, I tried watching this show called Murderville on Netflix. Have you heard of this?
I was going to ask you about that earlier this week, and then I saw, I think you tweet or you mentioned it in one of our DMs with Nico and Zeddy that you didn't really like it that much. So I haven't checked it out yet just because of that, even though the trailer looked incredibly funny to me.
For me, it was just like really over the top. I love the concept of it where just Will Arnett has a script and the rest of the characters don't. I think it's all the characters. I'm not positive because like I was watching the episode with Conan O'Brien and he's oblivious. He doesn't know, what's going on. He's just improvising.
Right.
But then there's sections where he'll talk to a character and the character responds accordingly. So
Conan O'Brien responds accordingly?
No. Conan O'Brien, they respond accordingly to Conan O'Brien.
Okay.
So that's why are they improving as well? I don't know how it works. Or maybe it's like a loose script, like, okay, Will Arnett, this is what's going to happen. Get him there.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
Yeah, I thought the trailer looked incredibly funny. The stuff with Ken Jeong where he's got him lying on the ground there and Marshawn Lynch swearing and being, a big, huge football player. I thought that was kind of fun.
So Elle says some guests are definitely better than others, and I've heard this from a few people, so maybe I need to give it another shot. But I had a hard time getting through that first episode with Conan O'Brien, and I actually love Conan O'Brien.
Yeah, that's a pretty good. That's the first episode is Conan.
Yeah, the first episode is Conan, but I don't know if you really need to watch them in any specific order. I don't know. Oh,
okay, yeah, probably not. It's probably just a it's a new murder every time, right?
Something like that. I guess. I don't know.
Yeah, I guess.
But I watched that. I watched some of Logan like I wanted to.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, right.
Nightmare Alley is actually what I spent some time with.
Yeah, what do you think of that one?
I'm pretty mixed on that one. It feels like there's two movies there. And I like both of the movies, if that makes sense. But I don't like the way they fit together. If that's kind of the way I looked at it. I thought Bradley Cooper was great in it. It's an amazing cast. It's a very large cast.
The only thing I've seen of that is Bradley Cooper dressed like Indiana Jones, and that makes me happy.
I would totally take him as a modern Indiana Jones. Like if they were ever to recast, you could just use him. Yeah,
he looked great in that fedora and the leather jacket, man. Like cancel Indiana Jones 6 and just make reboot the whole franchise as Bradley Cooper as Indy. Yeah.
Bradley Jones in the Temple of the Hangover or something.
Yeah.
I'd be okay with that. I also love Bradley Cooper though. He's one of those actors.
Yeah.
That I'll stick in anything. Stick him in Batman. Stick him in a horror movie, whatever.
Yeah, he's truly is great for sure. And maybe a better filmmaker too. I don't know. I guess we'll see after. I think he's doing his next film now. I don't really actually know what it is, but I thought I saw something in the news about his name attached to the next movie he's directing.
Yeah, I forgot what it is, but I know it's a big deal.
So one of the things I read this week, and something we've talked about before, is the Spider-Man Blue. I read Daredevil Yellow, I think it was a couple weeks ago. But one of the things I noticed when I was reading Spider-Man Blue was the advertisements inside comic books. This is an advertisement for Sweet Tarts. And there's advertisements for Gundams.
Cool.
In comic books, or in this whole series, it was in the same in Daredevil Yellow as well. There was advertisements in all of the every issue, and it's almost like every other page. Look, there's one for a Spider-Man video game.
That was a great game. That was for the first movie.
Anyway, I just thought it was funny, and I'm gonna have to pay attention and look for this. So the book came out in 2002. I don't know if ads were big in comic books back then, if that was just a thing, because they're really not in comic books anymore.
I don't. I think they take up too much space now, but they are in them. I mean, like actually, no, I'm thinking about maybe they're not.
Yeah, like any new issue that I've gotten of something, it doesn't every other page. It's almost like this in the Marvel Knights books, which is what that is.
There's a
the color series. Yeah. Okay, so there you go. So they are in them. Maybe it's just these ones are extra loud and more prominent than others.
I think also the books are not. I mean, they're 22 pages, so how much can you really stick in them these days?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, like M&Ms.
This one too. I like this one. It's a tobacco one. Tobacco wacko. If you're a teen.
Yeah, but that kind of looks like a cool horror movie that I would watch.
Yeah, like she's not having a good time.
No, it actually looks like a Nightmare on Elm Street poster or something. Like Freddy is at the end of the cigarette.
Yeah, that's right.
I'm coming for you, Nancy, or some shit. I don't
know. So yeah, I read. I just started that today. Actually, Spider-Man Blue. I've been putting it off for a little while because I'm missing one issue of the run. I'm missing issue number 5. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 6. So I was hoping to try and find that before I started the series, but I think I don't want to wait any longer, so I'll just find it digitally, issue number 5, and read it there. And also in the comments, Big Nerd Tony said he read Dark Knight's issues 3 and 4. Yeah, issue 4 came out this past week. It's another great issue. They actually got a different artist in this one. Which is usually not my favorite thing, but the color has stayed the same, so it all looks pretty close to the same. Again, Chris, I think you should read that. Get it on the top of your stack, and read that.
Over there.
We can talk about it.
Actually, I've shown you the cubby hole of comics. Also, that's right here.
I saw his cubby hole, folks. It's scary.
It's just comics stacked on top of each other. I think it works for me though, because I could just pull them out. I'm good to go right here.
One other thing about ads that I wanted to ask you about, Chris, when it comes to somebody with kids, do your kids know what commercials are? Like TV commercials?
Yes, sort of. We don't like them.
So we don't have cable at my house. We haven't had it since we moved in here. And anytime my kids go to my parents' house or my wife's parents' house and they have TV on, they're always concerned what's happening when commercials come on. They're always like, where did Batman go, or whatever they're watching, and like, when is the show coming back on? And they lose interest right away. It's just a funny thing to think that the Netflix age, there are no commercials. It's just so strange.
Yeah, and Grab says they're on YouTube, which they are, and some of them are shorter than others. See, I think commercials, they're still around, of course, but I think like what you and I are used to is not as big of a deal anymore. I don't know. Yeah. But like when I watch stuff on the CW app or even Hulu,
right,
there's ads too.
Mm-hmm.
Also, Saga Book Club. This is something that I think we need to figure out how this would work.
Yeah.
Because this is probably going to happen. I'm just trying to get the specifics of it. And to be completely honest, I'm lazy this week.
That's what I as I said, 3 comments down, Chris. I'm waiting on Lauren to do the invite. She can handle it all.
If anybody knows how to set that up, or maybe we should just say, okay, this week we're reading these issues.
I think Cookie and Lauren should set it up. They're both amped up about it. They should do it.
If you guys want, and we'll, that'll be a fun segment. We can. I mean, you've already read it, so it'd really just be us kind of talking about it, but still.
Yeah, that's okay though.
I'm excited.
Before we get on to anything else, I want onto our poll. It's not something I read this week, but it's something that you and I talked about, and something that was kind of in the geek zeitgeist, and that was Substack. They had a pretty big Monday, I guess you want to call it, Substack Monday, where they announced a whole bunch of creators They announced a whole bunch of comic books and whatever else. Tom King is now on Substack and has a comic book that already came out this week. Jeff Lemire had his Black Hammer book that's coming out through his Substack. Donny Cates is on there. Grant Morrison is now on Substack. When Substack was announced, Chris, we were all, some people, I would say, were concerned, worried about where this was going to lead for comic shops, and what was happening with these creators going forward. What seems to have happened now that everything's kind of calmed down with Substack is that creators are using Substack to just create extra content that you can pay for if you want to, and if you don't, then you don't get it, but you're still getting all of the creators still working for other publishers. Jeff Lemire signed an exclusive with Image. Tom King obviously writes for DC. Everything that's happened with Substack now, with Substack Monday that's come out, Chris, do you have your thoughts changed? Do you remember what your thoughts were like when Substack was announced? What are your feelings on Substack now?
Well, when it was announced, I was kind of like wait and see because I didn't really get the concept. And I don't hate the concept either, because if you think about it, generally people who read a lot of comics you're gonna spend at least $10 a month, at least. Let's say. I know that's probably a low figure, but an average Substack subscription, say that 10 times fast, I think is less than $10, if I'm not mistaken. I didn't really look at any of the writers, but I think like Tinians, I can't remember anymore. I think it's like $7 a month, for example. So if you're paying $7 a month for 4 comics or whatever, I didn't think that was a bad idea. I still don't. But now I kind of feel the same. Like, if you're into it, that's cool. But I don't, like, for me, I don't get it. Like, it's not something I would do, because I like having the variety of just going and picking what I want instead of, okay, I'm subscribed, so I'm just going to get whatever you give me or don't give me. Because some of these creators, they had the subscription set up for months now, and they didn't have any content.
Yep.
And to me, I'm not going to pay, $7 a month for a newsletter. That's where I
agree. Yeah, I agree about the newsletter part, and that's initially why I didn't sign up for the paid Lemire one, because he had he did have something on there. He did have a comic on there. It's called Fish Flies. I think it was 6 or 7 issues, but I still couldn't justify paying $8 a month for a 20-page comic that I don't really know if it was going to be worth it overall for a digital comic as well. I was okay with the free one where I get some insight into his process. I get early release for news that comes out about any stuff that he's writing. But yeah, I wasn't okay with that. But then it was announced that he was doing a Black Hammer book on there. So I don't know what to do now. I don't know. And again, I like most of the creators on Substack, but paying $7 or $8 for every single one of them doesn't make any sense to me. So it's almost like you have to pick one. You have to pick one creator that you like and stick with them, and they're the one you pay for. If that's how you want to do it. And again, if the one comic is good enough. It's a tough thing when comics are already so much, the paper versions or the digital versions through Comixology or however you get it. Adding an extra expense for comics is, I'm not sure if the justification is there yet.
Depends on the amount of content I think you're getting too. Because again, if you buy comics regularly, you're spending at least $10 every Wednesday, and again, that's a low figure. So to spend $6 to $10 a month for X amount of books, it's not bad. It's just how much do you like that creator? Also, I think that's the thing.
Exactly. You have to. The creator has to be enough, and Lemire is enough for me most of the time. He is my favorite comic writer, but it's still just the justification of paying more money for comics is always just a struggle for me, for lots of people, right? So
I think so.
Yeah, I'm not sure yet,
but we'll see how it goes. I mean, I can tell you, I'm probably not subscribing to anybody anytime soon, but don't say never, I suppose.
Again, I like the idea of Substack. I'm okay with the idea of it if creators want to do more, and they're not leaving other publishers to only do Substack, and that's where I think we all thought it was going to begin with, and now it's not like that. So I don't think Substack's the big, evil empire that's trying to take over, comic book shops or whatever, right?
I thought it was.
Exactly.
I like Graf's comment here, though. It's hard to pay for something that you don't know what you're getting. They can say 2 comics a month, but what if they get busy? They're not going to charge you for that month. Not a chance.
Mm-hmm.
And he's right, because that is what happened. Some of these creators did not put any content out, or they only put 1 book out, and they're charging you $8. Well, $8 is essentially a book and a half these days, but still.
Oh yeah, and Tom King, who just released his, is actually releasing his free. The comic that he's doing, you sign up for his Substack and pay nothing and get every issue of the comic. You pay extra for the stuff that went into the comic, behind the scenes stuff. So he's actually doing it in reverse of the way other people are doing it. So I don't, Substack is creating a model about how to do it. Even their model is ever changing about which way to do it. So I think it's very interesting.
I like Lemire's way of doing it, though, because that way it's whatever it is, and you don't have to worry about it. Then if you want that extra stuff, if you want that extra insight, it's there for you. Personally, I don't really look at that kind of stuff, so it wouldn't be for me, but I think that's still a cool option to give people.
Agreed. And we've also got some, heavy thoughts in the comments as well. Lauren's in there talking about it, and Grabs, who, his own YouTube channel is about how much he spends per month on comic books. Having Substack built into that, a monthly subscription built into that. It's all going down to the bottom line. It's all going into how much you spend on comic books, the things that we all love.
And if you aren't following Grabs' channel, subscribe to it. You should be.
Just alone to see him wear his muscle shirts too.
Yes,
I noticed that today when I was watching some of them. Man, it's looking good in that muscle shirt, man. I tell you,
he makes me feel less manly.
That's right. Okay, so on to our weekly poll, guys. Weekly poll last week. We wanted to know about your fantasy. Oh wait, no, we didn't. About your fantasy in movies, TV shows. We wanted to know what you like better.
Emmett's doing After Dark here.
Yeah, that's right. Which do you like more, the Lord of the Rings trilogy or Game of Thrones? Obviously, they're the same but different. Chris, what did you think about this poll when you were making it? When we were talking about this, we've talked about this before. I think we're going to talk about it a little bit as this conversation about the poll goes on. But Lord of the Rings, the TV show coming from Prime in September. Game of Thrones, as it was coming out, as it was airing, as it was ending, was the biggest show in the world. Talked about nonstop. Return of the King, the third movie in the trilogy, has won all of the awards it could win at the Oscars. Where do you land on this boat?
I am firmly in the Lord of the Rings camp. To me, Lord of the Rings is just amazing. I love it. And I love the 4-hour versions. The regular ones the theatrical are great and all, but the 4-hour versions are where it's at. I will watch those without flinching. And I have the older editions where you have to switch the disc. You remember those books?
I do, yeah.
DVD books. And I won't get rid of those because I just love the way they look on the shelf. But I'm firmly in the Lord of the Rings territory. But I do also enjoy Game of Thrones. It's just that last season. I can't handle the last season. It's not my favorite.
Yep. Yeah, it's interesting. I don't consider all 3 of the Lord of the Rings movies perfect either. Return of the King is actually my least favorite of the trilogy. Yeah, my favorite's Fellowship of the Ring.
Okay.
I love the getting together. I love the team coming together, and then obviously by the end they're broken up. But it also feels the most real of all of them. After Fellowship, into Two Towers, the CGI is really ramped up because they filmed that first one. They showed it to the studio, and then the studio said, "Okay, make 2 more of these and make them bigger and badder and all that kind of stuff." So everything was kind of ramped up with the CGI. I like the more grounded feel to Fellowship. I like the hobbits coming together. The small little trek alone to Rivendell, all of that stuff. And in comparison, that's really a lot of what the first movie is. It's just them walking around. It's the hobbits walking from one place. They gather the Fellowship, and then the Fellowship walks to another place, and that's pretty much it. And I love it.
You've watched Clerks too, right?
Clerks 2? Yeah,
Yes.
I've seen Clerks 2, yeah.
Okay, do you remember the scene when somebody's describing Lord of the Rings and they said, all they do is walk? That's all it is walking. And they're not wrong. It is. But it's the characters and stuff that take you along those walks and all that makes it entertaining. Plus, the story is just really good.
Yeah, exactly. It's about the journey, right?
Yeah, and I don't know if... I think Helm's Deep might still be one of the best battles that's ever been put on screen.
I agree. Two Towers is outstanding.
Oh yeah, Two Towers. I think it's
specifically because the battle scene is like an hour and a half long or an hour long.
It's long.
Yeah, it like in just the feat alone of putting that battle on, incredible.
And it's vicious. the Return of the King. I think that's a great battle too, but it's not Helm's Deep.
It just didn't feel as personal. And that's like in Two Towers is still there, with a little bit of that gritty feel, especially because of Helm's Deep. But something about Return of the King just didn't do it for me as much. I understand it's still outstanding.
I love it.
And there was one of the issues I had a lot with, well, not issues, but the big changes for the Two Towers and beyond is Gandalf the White. Gandalf the Grey just, somehow feels right to me. And in that whole scene with the Balrog where he's standing on the bridge, you shall not pass. I think that's one of my favorite scenes from movies ever.
It's just iconic now. I mean,
yeah. Well, you use it in I use it at work.
I use it just randomly. Cookie Munch said it's an amazing battle, never feels like an hour. And I completely agree with that. Like, it just blows by, and there's never a point where I'm thinking, man, are they going to stop beating the crap out of each other? Mm-hmm. I'm just like, when are they going to, can we keep beating the crap out of each other? This is great. It's so well done. And I like the way they juggle the characters too, because it's not just, okay, Aragorn is doing something. It's everybody. And then you have the contest between Gimli and Legolas. That's in Two Towers, right?
Say that one more time. The
contest where they count how many they're.
Yeah, and Legolas is far ahead, and
Gimli's I don't remember
trailing behind.
Yeah, I just don't remember if that was Helm's Deep or if that was in Return of the King.
No, it's Helm's Deep. Yeah,
okay,
they're just nonstop. 6 and 7. Yeah.
And even the video game of that was a blast.
I remember that. What is the game called?
Two Towers.
Is that what? Oh, so good. But it wasn't. Was it just Two Towers though? Wasn't it? Wasn't it all the movies or the first two?
No, I don't.
I'm thinking of a different game then.
You might be the Lego version. I think puts them all together, but the movie like tie-in games were all separate. Mm-hmm. They were fun.
And so we just gushed over Lord of the Rings for a little while here, and that's not to say that we don't love Game of Thrones. That I don't love Game of Thrones.
Yeah.
Is it just the sour taste, like you said, the sour taste that just kind of ruins it for you in a way?
Like Tony's comment, I was in the Fellowship. I saw Gandalf that stuff he smoked in his pipe. He let me come on the trip after that.
I figured it was you.
I thought that's what was going on there in that pipe. Yeah, the last season kind of killed it for me. It's not so much the episode before the finale, like, because I know a lot of people pick on that too, but it's the actual last moments of the finale when you see what they've done, why we've watched it for all this time, or in my case, a year because I binged it. Yeah. But it's just annoying, and I did not like that ending, and I still don't. And it has kind of soured. Like, I don't want to rewatch it.
When I rewatched it, I was still sour by the end of it too. The long hold, the very last shot of the whole series is John and the wildlings doing a slow walk back out to the north of the wall, which is cool. I don't mind John's ending at all. But yeah, just that I was just thinking as he's walking, like, oh my god, it wasn't any better.
Right.
Nothing changed after that first time that I watched it.
No, and it's like it could have been anybody else at the end. You could have put it on the ghost of Joffrey, and I would have been, oh, okay.
That would have been nice.
But come on, not for me. I would have preferred the ghost of Joffrey.
the ghost of Joffrey.
One of the most hated characters in anything.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so it's interesting that we have this poll up on our Twitter account right now, guys. And this week, the Lord of the Rings on Prime, Power of the Ring. What the hell is it called? I think that's what it is.
Is it
Rings of Power, maybe.
Rings of Power. That man.
Rings of Power, I think it's what it's called. Anyways, they released character posters for, I think it was like over 20 character posters.
Mm-hmm.
For who knows, we don't really know. The Rings of Power is the name. Anyway, so yeah, they released character posters, and that did enough for me to get me even more excited for this show. They announced in middle of January the release date, which was sometime in September 2nd, I think. I expect we're going to see a trailer pretty soon if the show is 6-7 months away. Because what's your hype level for Lord of the Rings on Amazon Prime?
I'm trying to keep it kind of keep my expectations in check, just because I'm very excited for it, but I don't want to expect too much from it, just because it is it's a series version of it, so I don't know how that's going to translate, and I just don't want to be disappointed. So I'm going to keep my expectations in check, but I love that it's happening, and I'm very excited to get to September.
I'm excited too, and it's interesting how far they're going back. They're going to be talking about the rings before, right after they were made, when there was more rings and not just the one ring to rule them all. It's going to be about the building of the world, which is interesting. I'm interested to see how it looks, especially
that too.
It's got to be. I think it's one of the most expensive shows ever. It's going to have to be. With the world that they're trying to create, and Amazon Prime's got all the Amazon's got all the money in the world, so they should be able to put some money behind it. But another show, another show that's coming out this year is the Game of Thrones spinoff, House of the Dragon.
Yeah.
So what's the explain your face there?
Nah, I'm good.
Why? Because of how sour you are after the end of
pretty much. Like I'll probably give it a shot, but it's not something I'm looking forward to. I hope it does what fans wants it to. I hope it's good for everybody, but I have zero expectations for it. I'll give it a shot, but I'm just now that could change when I see a trailer.
Well, have you seen the teaser that they have out?
I didn't know there was one.
Yeah,
I've really just not even been following it.
Yeah, you should check it out. It's interesting. Obviously it's all about the Targaryens and their rule and rise in the Seven Kingdoms. You should check it out, Chris. I'm crazy excited about it. I'm going to give it the benefit of the doubt. It's got different showrunners and different cast, all new story. I'm going to give it the benefit of the doubt because again, I love. Those first 4 seasons of Game of Thrones are some of the best TV ever.
Oh yeah.
The Red Wedding. I'm not as sour about it as you are. I understand how bad the ending of Game of Thrones was, but I still appreciate that they're. This is the one they chose also as well. They actually filmed a pilot for a show already. I think they spent a ton of money on it, multi-millions of money on it, and they watched it and they moved on and put House of Dragon straight to order. A whole season, so I'm interested to see how it goes. We have a teaser for that already, I think, but we don't have a release date, which is interesting to contrast it with Lord of the Rings, where we have a small teaser where it's just more of the name and a date, but no, real no trailer, no characters. We see some in the character posters, but we don't see their faces. So it's interesting.
It's kind of fun that we're going to have the fantasy version of Star Wars and Star Trek. I think that's kind of because to me, Game of Thrones really is like the darker Lord of the Rings.
Mm-hmm.
So it's cool that we're going to have those two on at the same time. Whether they're both good, one is terrible, one is great, vice versa, who knows? But it'll be cool to have them both.
I think that's a big question about the Lord of the Rings too, is how it's rated, how adult it is.
Oh yeah.
Do they go more the violent route of Game of Thrones, or is it more of the same that we saw in the movies? Are they gonna kids could watch Lord of the Rings if they could sit through that long of a movie. It's not overly violent.
They are violent. Well,
they're violent, but it's not like the blood and guts of Game of Thrones, the realism of it. Like you can feel a head being lopped off. When I'm picturing when Aragorn cuts off that main orc's head in Fellowship of the Ring. The head kind of lops off and there's no blood spewing at the top of it, stuff like that. If it was Game of Thrones, the head would come off. You'd see the head rolling down the hill and there'd be blood spewing everywhere. Beautiful. Well, yeah. Well, I picture
they crushed Oberyn's head.
Exactly. That's what I'm picturing. There's none of that in Lord.
Din had to go to space after that to get it fixed.
That's right.
One, do you remember? Did you ever watch Mad TV?
Not really.
Oh, okay. They did a skit called Lowered Expectations. It was funny. You never want to hype it up too much because that letdown will end up Monkey Jack slapping you back to reality.
Where were you last week when we were talking about hype?
He's right though.
Big nerd Tony. That's very interesting, man.
But he's right. And I think that not to retread on what we said last week, but it is good just to keep your expectations in check, especially when there's like this. We don't know a lot about either of these series.
No.
All we know is in the case of Lord of the Rings, everybody loves the movies. I haven't seen the Hobbit trilogy. I will eventually. Yeah, I'll get to them. But like Game of Thrones, like Cookie said earlier, everybody loves it, but that last season is not fun for anybody.
You got her.
Except maybe the Ghost of Joffrey in the alternate universe.
Yeah, let's write that book now, The Ghost of Joffrey.
I'm working on it. I'm waiting for George to email me back, along with WB.
All right, guys. So that's the poll from last week up on our Twitter account right now at G of the Geeks on Twitter. We have a new poll up, and it's a pretty hot one already, Chris. You did. You got two of the biggest names in the nerd world right now, Batman and Spider-Man. We want to know, what's your trilogy? Is it the Dark Knight trilogy or the Sam Raimi films? Right now we're up to 45 votes, and the Dark Knight trilogy is running away with it, 71%, and the Spider-Man trilogy at only 22%, which is a little surprising to me.
Didn't expect that. Yep. When I made the poll, I had this TikTok sound in my head. I know you're not big on TikTok, but there's a sound. It's I want to say it's a Stevie Nicks song, but I can't remember which one. And then it turns to like a narrator, add a little bit of spice. That was kind of in my head while I was playing. That was a useless detail. I just felt like sharing.
No such thing as a useless detail. They're all useless.
Oh yeah. So this is who voted for potato. People actually voted for potato on the last poll, and that just made my day.
What was the percentage? Do you remember? I'm gonna look.
I think it's like 8%.
Let's see here. 8%. That's right. Out of 25 votes.
That kind of made my day.
Probably one person.
Because sometimes some polls only have two answers, of course, like two clear answers. So it's fun just to throw an extra one in there, and whatever happens.
Potatoes.
Yes. So potato, and also a vote for potatoes was a vote for Lord of the Rings. So it just dominated the poll.
That's right. I was gonna say we'll just put that 8% right up into the Lord of the Rings tally.
Boil them, smash them, stick them in a stew.
So good. All right, guys, head over to our Twitter account and let us know what your thoughts are for this week's poll, and we will talk about it next week. So the title of this week's episode is the one where we choose our fates, and it's kind of an ominous thing to say. Thank you, Lauren, about choosing our fates, but it's not really our fates in all seriousness. What I was trying to get at when I was talking this out with Chris is there's so many ways to consume content right now. Every day we talk about movies, we talk about TV shows, we talk about comic books, and there's also video games that a lot of people are in. So let's say your favorite movie, TV show, video games, and comic book are sitting on a table, and you can only have one for the rest of your life. Which one would you choose? Would you rather watch your best movie ever, your best TV show ever, read your favorite best comic book, or play your best video game? Chris, what do you think about this?
This is a tough one. I actually thought about it for a little bit. Mm-hmm. I was I was compiling my best of lists, and I realized, no, that's not what we're doing.
Yeah.
I was like, well, that's a heavy task for me to do because I like a lot of stuff. Mm-hmm. Then I had to think, what do I prefer? Like, my preferred thing is actually movies. Mm-hmm. So I would have to go with movies would be my only. If I had to pick one form of entertainment to consume, it would have to be movies. Because how else am I going to watch Howard the Duck?
Yeah, that was waiting for some obscurity from you, Chris. Thank you very much.
I do what I can.
Yes, Grabs. It's a whole TV series, not one episode.
Everybody that's watching in the comments and stuff, let us know what you guys would pick because we're curious.
I went with the TV series. I think TV shows are the best way to tell a story. I like the long-formed nature of telling a story. I like the freedom TV shows get. I like the reliance on watching a TV show as well. I love sitting down and binging, like I was talking about earlier, but I also like the weekly wait. More and more now, going to the movies hasn't been my favorite. So movies are all actually, in general, are just starting to trend down a little bit. I think TV shows are my preferred way of viewing things, and I think that's what I was trying to get at. It was, which way would you just rather consume your favorite thing? But I also understand that my favorite comic book by my favorite writer would be very hard not to, consume all the time either.
I was
No,
confused
it's
by this.
Yeah, no, it's one movie, your favorite TV show, your favorite comic book, your favorite video game. If you could only have one of those things, which one would you have? And I chose my favorite TV show. I think I could watch my favorite TV show forever. And the interesting thing to that is maybe I don't even know what my favorite TV show is, because it changes all the time. And that's the same thing with movies. Like Chris, you said we're making your best of favorite list. I can make that list now and it'd be different next week. It's very hard to pick a favorite. But I just like the way TV uses its storytelling nature. It's the process of creating a television show to be long formed, and the way to watch TV is something that I'd rather. But again, comic books would be my second. I think movies would be all the way at the bottom. So I'd go TV, comic, video game, and then movies.
Okay.
I don't know what it is about movies. The movies used to be king for me, but it's more about TV shows now.
That's interesting. For me, it's well, I guess one movie, but that movie I'm probably gonna have to sneak some Blu-rays or something and not tell anybody because I can't just watch one. I have too many favorites, and I need one. I need one for each genre also.
Yeah, I understand the complexity of this question and how little narrow-minded it might be, but I just like the idea of talking about your favorite things and only having to choose one way to consume it, because we consume so much.
Yeah.
There's so much that we Chris and I talk about every week, and the four quadrants I like to think of for the geek verse, or the zeitgeist. Grab mentioned novels. That's a whole other thing. It's just reading a book as well. Having a good book, and this is where I went to comic books. There's something about a book, something about holding a piece of paper in your hand and reading it that makes you feel a certain way. Eric, I'd be 100% with you. If I could watch only Star Trek: The Next Generation for the rest of my life, I'd definitely do that for sure.
This is a good call, Law and Order, because it's endless. Star Trek is a good call because it's also endless. Maybe I should switch to TV. But if I switch to TV, I know the two I would have to pick from would be Buffy the Vampire Slayer or Friends.
Oh my God, there's no way you can watch Friends for the rest of your life.
You'd be surprised.
Come on, you can watch Buffy. Buffy would be an interesting one to watch.
It's got variety in it. That's why I say that, because there's variety in it, and it's got a little bit of everything I love. But I mean, Friends is Friends, and again, you'd be surprised how much of Friends I can watch. It's astonishing.
It's also the idea I had behind this is sitting down on a Wednesday night. What would you rather do? Would you rather watch a movie, watch a TV show, read a comic book, and a video game? And TV show would be my first one, and the comic books would be my second. Like I said, there's nothing wrong with sitting down for 15, 20 minutes and reading a single issue of a comic. Almost there's sometimes in my week, there's nothing better that I can do to calm down, relax, and put my feet up is just to read a comic book. And that's kind of the same thing for goes for TV as well. It's kind of just a down moment where you can just relax and turn your mind off for a little while. That's what I've been doing with Reacher. Yeah, Eric, that's great.
I wouldn't mind. I mean, I wouldn't mind. I'm just saying.
The other thing I thought of, Chris, do you think there's too much? Too many TV shows, too many movies, too many comic books. We just talked about Substack a little while ago. There's too many ways to get something. Is there too many ways to enjoy your favorite things? Is that a possibility? Is that even a real thing?
No, I like the variety because there's always something for you to go back to. Like there's TV shows that everybody tells me I'd love. I still haven't watched them yet, but I will get to them. Or movies, like Grab has told me I need to watch A Few Good Men. I will get to it.
Oh my goodness, yeah. You haven't? Oh man, yeah.
I'll get to it. I haven't even seen The Godfather 2, so.
Yeah.
But I'll get to it. Baby steps. So I like having the variety of stuff. It's there's always something new or new to you to watch or to read or to play if it's a video game. I like that.
Yeah, I love variety too. I like being able, like I said, you can choose on any given day what you can do, what you want to do. And sometimes it's the simplest things. As Big Nerd Tony P says in the comics, that's a perfect thing. The smell of a book, the feel of it, like you said, turning those pages. Sometimes there's nothing better than that. Grabs mentioned it earlier about a novel. There's sometimes the feeling of just reading a story from beginning to end. There's something about it, and it's the same with anything though. TV show, seeing a beginning, middle, and end of a story, and getting a finality nature to it. Sometimes just makes you feel good. Sometimes I don't know.
It's comforting to know you have something, just like Friends.
Yeah. There's nothing comforting about the TV show Friends.
There's 10 seasons that say it's comforting.
No, I wouldn't use the word comforting. Even if I like the TV show, I don't think it's comforting. I think it's, what is it?
Heartwarming. You're right.
Yeah.
It's good.
So we had a lot of answers from everybody in this one, and everyone. I think one of the biggest ones that I saw was TV show. I think everybody's in the TV show world.
I would say TV wins there. I'm on the fence still, but I do like the idea of TV because I was thinking if I watch one movie, it has to be something that has all the genres I like. I would imagine, but that's tough.
Paul Rudd is in the show. It's amazing.
Grabs has a good point. Paul Rudd does make things better.
I agree with you there. I won't deny that.
Like his small part in Forgetting Sarah Marshall is also just magical.
Do nothing.
It's a great thing.
Yeah.
Oh, and Ghostbusters. He was great in Afterlife. I mean, he's always good.
I think about Forgetting Sarah Marshall all the time. I love that movie.
It's one of my favorites. It really is. It's hilarious.
I love that movie a lot. Jason Segel's so good in that. And oh man, I think about Kristen Bell saying bullshit, bullshit, bullshit all the time. I don't know why I think about me and my wife say that all the time, and I always forget what it's from, and then I just picture Kristen Bell saying that. It's so funny.
I was watching another TikTok or something recently, and there was this thing where Ice Cube was on. I think it was Jimmy Fallon, and they told him Kristen Bell is here. He heard it as Christian Bale is here. So so he was like, "Can I go say hi?" So he went. They said, "Yeah, go ahead." So he goes in the dressing room. He sees Kristen Bell. He just walks right out. I think.
Does he think he's in the wrong room?
No, he just realized, hey, this isn't Christian Bale, and he just leaves. I hear that's what I think of a lot lately because I think it's hilarious.
Oh man. All right, guys. So that's our topic this week. If you could only have one, which one would you choose? Thanks very much for the insight, and a lot of people jumping in with their comments. Chris, anything you want to talk about before we wrap up the show today, man?
No.
Right on. So hit me up with some plugs.
Oh, we're doing plugs now. Okay, cool. You guys can follow me on Twitter at thatchris70, but I always prefer you guys to now follow us over at G of the Geeks. And if you have not already, please like and subscribe to the YouTube channel. I don't know the verbiage for that. Subscribe to the YouTube channel. Maybe you could like it. I don't know. Devin knows how to say it better than I do.
That's it. Yep. Subscribe and like to the YouTube channel. That's it.
Yeah, do all that stuff.
Yeah. So if you are watching and you haven't subscribed, I don't know if there's anyone who wouldn't do that. We got some awesome people in the comments. Grabs, Juan, Big Nerd, Tony P, Aaron K's in the comments, Lauren, Cookie Monster.
Elle was with us.
Elle was in there for a minute or two. Eric Summers. Thanks so much for getting in the comments, guys. You guys are great as always. And yeah, just jump over to the Twitter as well. We like having the conversations about our polls that Chris comes up with every week. So we got a good one there. Make sure you hit us up there. The audio for this one, whether you want to listen to it or not, there's currently only a couple people who listen to our audio version, but it's going to keep going up on Tuesday mornings. So if you want to keep listening there, you can find us wherever you get your podcasts. And you can follow us on Twitter, like Chris said, at G of the Geeks. You can follow me on Twitter at Emmet Davis 7. And In saying all that, for Chris, I'm Emmett. We gather on Sundays.